Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Julie here, and it is 8:15, and this is part 2 of my 3-part series on how to reduce belly fat. So I'm coming here to you at 8:15 here on Wednesday morning, and I'm just going to give a couple of minutes here to see if I can get anybody else to join me live to listen in on the second part. I'm going to be dropping a lot of really fantastic information here for you today, ladies. If you have not watched the first part, then I highly recommend you go back. And if you have, I will be reviewing a little bit of what we learned and asking what your biggest takeaway is. So if you're just joining me now, it's Julie. This is part 2 of my How to Reduce Belly Fat training series. And lots of great information today because I'm going to talk about the biggest misconceptions that we've been taught that many women believe that are holding us back from really shifting that stubborn belly fat. So if you're joining me live, guys, welcome. I see a couple people are here. This time I will not forget to scroll and see who's here. Please let me know if you're here. Give me a thumbs up, a happy face, or let me know where it is that you are tuning in from. And if you did watch the first part and are here for the second part, please let me know. I watched part 1, and I'd also love to know what was your biggest takeaway. So use the comment box below, very, very helpful, so I can kind of see where you're at, what you feel, what was resonating for you, and let me know. I'm so excited to share part 2 with you. And again, if you are watching this on the replay, same big request, ladies or gentlemen, please type replay if you're watching this on the replay. So a couple more seconds and I'm going to dive right in. Thank you to the 2 of you who are here. Please let me know who you are. Maybe even just type your name so I know who's here with me. Otherwise, I'm talking to this little box in front of me. And it'd be nice to know who's on the other side of that. Type your name, where you're watching from. And again, if you watched part 1, please, and what you liked the most about it. What was your biggest takeaway from part 1 when I spoke about the different types of body fat and the one that is more dangerous, that visceral body fat that's under, all right, and around the organs, the one that we can't see. Hey, Sherry. Hey, Val. Welcome. Good. Thank you, ladies. All right. So, Sherry, the 2 different types of fat. Good. That was the big takeaway. Val, what was your biggest takeaway? Let me know. All right. So, guys, we did review that. Again, it's always there for a replay. This will be too. If you're watching on the replay, just type replay. So I'm going to get started here. Now, we talked about those 2 different types of fats and what is more dangerous about the visceral body fat. And that's generally the one that's a lot more stubborn. And unfortunately, the reason for today is to talk about some of those misconceptions. All right. And by the end of today's training, you should have a really good understanding of some of the things that are absolutely useless. And then on the 3rd part of the series, I know you're excited for that. It's going to all tie in together, guys, and I'm going to leave with some great takeaways. All right, so let's get started. So yes, there is some plain wrong information out there about belly fat and what it takes to really get rid of it. And you know what? To kind of illustrate the concept of how we can start to believe something, even though it's useless for us, even though it's no longer true, not valid, and won't help us, I have an analogy. I love this analogy, and I think it's very powerful. Here it is. There's a family seated around a table for a beautiful dinner. Could be Christmas, Thanksgiving, a birthday, anniversary. You pick the event. And the mom or the dad, whomever, they're making a beautiful big turkey. All right? It's beautiful. It's huge. And as the mom or the dad is making the turkey, she cuts the end of the turkey off, puts it in the pan, sticks it in the oven. And the father, the daughter, the son, they go, "Why do you do that? Why do you cut the end of the turkey off?" And the mom says, "Well, that's the way my mom did it. That's the way I do it." So they're like, let's find out why. That's weird. Let's find out why. So she calls up her mom. Let's call mom. Calls up grandma. Grandma answers the phone. They ask, "Why do you cut the end off the turkey?" Grandma says, "Well, that's the way I saw my mom do it." So they're like, "Well, great grandma is still alive. Let's call her." Luckily, they get great grandma on the phone. And they say, "Great grandma, why do we cut the end of the turkey off? Why did you ever do that?" And the great grandma says, "You guys, back in my day, our ovens were this big. I had to cut the end off or the turkey couldn't fit in." Now, if you get the point of that story, ladies, it's silly, but it's powerful. It's those things that we do that we've been conditioned to do without really understanding why, how that started, or if it's even relevant or beneficial or necessary for us today. Okay, so kind of proves the point. If you resonate with that, say, hey, I get it, or yeah, or that's a great point. Drop me a comment. And again, if you're just tuning in here, let me know who you are. Type a comment so I see who is watching with me. Don't be shy, guys, all right? I can't see you, but you can see me. And again, if you're watching on the replay, just type replay in the comments below. So how is that analogy, guys? Do you get it? All right, so, my mom might have said, oh, got some belly fat. You know what? Switch to eating salads. Go for more walks. Go running a little bit more. Whatever that might be. And that kind of gets perpetuated. So I would like for you, guys, if you have a pen and paper, to write this down. Okay, if you have something, or write it down, or just write it in your memory. Belly fat requires a completely different approach. Okay, so I'll repeat that. Belly fat, the visceral belly fat we spoke of on Monday, requires a completely different approach. And we're gonna move from there into the rest of content today, because a lot of what we know, or women think they know, is completely useless. Okay, and I'll just be blunt with that. So I would love to know, before I tell you about Kathy, what have you tried to date? So ladies, just let me know, what have you tried to date to lose your belly fat, to make that measurement on the waist go down? Comment below, let me know. And Sherry says, yes, learn behavior. Totally get it. Exactly. It's a powerful analogy. So what have you tried? Let me know and be honest. Have you tried dieting? How many diets have you tried? Have you tried a generic program that you saw on the internet or in a magazine? Let me know what you've tried, and I'll go back to that in a little bit. Okay. So you remember on Monday how I shared, if you've seen video 1, how I shared with you my own experience with belly fat and frustration, and how that was my I wanted to crawl into a hole phase. And I know that that resonated with quite a few of you. And guys, thank you so much for sharing. That is really important that we share, and let's get this conversation going. So if you remember, I was doing 4 to 5 heavy weight training workouts a week, and in between I was trying to get in some high intensity interval training, also known as HIIT, really popular buzzword out there. Okay, so if you remember that story, that was not working for me. I ended up being exhausted. I wasn't sleeping well. I was moody, irritable, grouchy, all those things. Plus add changing hormones and midlife and the whole ball of wax. That was like a toxic soup. All right. And my belly just grew. So today, let me tell you about Kathy. Are you ready? Kathy is in her late 40s, and she is an avid class participant. So she loves to go to the fitness classes. Most of them are, 45 to 60 minutes long. She usually is in the gym 4 or 5, sometimes 6 days a week. That is her go-to place. And when she's not spending time in the gym, either running on the treadmill or biking or in a class, she's usually outside, maybe running or walking, okay? 30, 45, 60 minutes, most days of the week. Kathy loves her cardio. Now, can anyone relate to this? I know there's 4 people with me, guys. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Can anybody relate to any of that so far? If you can, please drop a yes, thumbs up, type relate in the comments. Kathy loves her cardio. So she believes that to lose the pesky belly fat that she is experiencing, that is growing, okay, she needs to do more classes. So her belief is, I will do more classes, and I am going to eat a little bit less, swap out more salads. Salads are healthy. No denying, with the right ingredients, absolutely. And maybe she is skipping a meal here or there. In fact, Kathy was skipping meals here and there, okay? She wasn't really into lifting weights, but she could run or walk for miles, and that was her thing, okay? So she likes to keep moving, essentially. Kathy doesn't really like to rest much, in addition to all the things she's doing inside the gym or out walking and running. She also has a lot of pressure just in life. She has a family, she's got a job, very successful at what she does, all right? She has a lot of responsibility. And again, Kathy is in her mid-40s, so kind of the era that I come from, that many of you come from. She's starting to get frustrated though, because she has spent money on lots of different programs and lots of different things she's read about, okay? Whether it's supplements, because again, Kathy is aware she is often skipping meals. She doesn't eat a lot. She's trying to cut down stuff. So she's always looking for that fix that can help her shift the belly fat. And despite all her efforts, Kathy is not seeing much muscle tone at all. In her 20s and 30s, she did, but she's not anymore. And it's frustrating to her. And I don't know if you can relate to that frustration, guys. Please, yes, Janine, been there, okay? Drop a yes or I relate if you can relate to that, okay? Because no one's saying, not me, that exercise is not good for you. It is. We need to move. Movement is medicine. No one's saying that it's not good to eat healthy vegetables. It is. Can any of you relate to Kathy? She's going, all right? And she's doing a lot of cardio because she's been told that HIIT and classes and all that stuff is where it's at. If you relate, type a yes. So she's not seeing the muscle tone and getting more frustrated because it's not working. Are there any more days in the week Kathy can get to the gym? I don't think so. So anyways, Kathy believed for years that she needed to eat less and cut out the carbs and get some more cardio. And this is common. Who has believed that? Who still believes that? Who is doing that? Are you Kathy? Can you relate to Kathy? Or do you know somebody who is? Maybe your neighbor, okay? I know a lot of women who would be able to relate to Kathy's story. Lots of cardio, not a lot of weight training at all. That's kind of a new concept for them. Okay. So what's working for her? What used to work? No longer working. Stubborn belly fat isn't going away. And the kicker on Kathy, she's not really having the best sleeps either, but it's okay because she knows she's got a busy lifestyle and she knows that she needs to stay up later at night to kind of fit everything in once everything else is taken care of. Now that's a biggie. Who can relate to that? Okay, staying up at night. You know, common in moms, the only time I have to myself is at night. That's when you're doing all the social media, the scrolling, and maybe your sleep is suffering, but you're willing to make that compromise. So I have a question for you. If you haven't answered yet, can you relate to Kathy? Or do you know someone who's like her? All right. Not to pick on anyone called Kathy because Kathy isn't necessarily doing anything wrong. Okay. Kathy believes she is doing all the right things and cardio is her therapy. Okay. So let's review. Lots of cardio. She's doing what she's been told to do, right? But my question to you is, what isn't she doing? She's trying to watch what she eats. She's eating salads, trying to eat healthy, right? She's doing what she's been told to do, but what isn't she doing or eating? That's the better question to ask. And she's not getting much sleep, but she's busy. And these days, like, ladies, how many of you think not getting enough sleep and being so busy all the time has been considered a badge of honor? Okay, right? Some people applaud how busy we are. So if you can relate to any of those in any way, again, type yes. In my experience, I have had the opportunity to work with hundreds of clients over the last 30 years, mainly women, and more so in midlife over the last few years. And they're driven and committed, and there is a lot of consistency in those similarities with Kathy, okay? We believe we've got to do it all, do it well, and our own priority is last on that list once everything else is done. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So we've believed, many of us, the useless information that's been perpetuated by well-meaning coaches and trainers. But it may be the opposite of what these particular women with this particular problem of belly fat should be doing. So can anybody guess? There is one contributing factor. Okay, so Kathy's approach to fitness and nutrition and her overall lifestyle, there is one contributing factor to that visceral body fat. One. Can anybody guess what that is? Or do you know? Type your answer below, guys. All right, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to think about that and wait for those answers to come. So Sherry, Val, I'll pick on you guys, Janine, whoever else is here. What do you think that one contributing factor is? And if you're just tuning in, please let me know that you're here. Give me a happy face or a hi. And if you're watching the replay, please type replay. Very helpful for me to know that you've seen and heard this information today, ladies. Okay, so any answers? Anyone want to venture a guess? I'm going to take a sip of water while you think about this. I know you've all heard of this word. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you, okay? The answer is, it's one of those C words. Not that one, not that one, not that one. It's cortisol. I don't want to say the other C word here and get a banner on my thing. It is cortisol, okay? That is the answer. Val, you were close. Yes, Val said hormones. Cortisol is the most known of the stress hormones, okay? Cortisol. That is the biggest contributing factor to this soup of a situation here that we have with Kathy, and not just Kathy, many women. It might not be all the cardio some women are doing, but there are very similar circumstances that contribute to it. So who has heard of cortisol? Everybody? Sherry goes, oh, right. It's right under our noses. It's actually right in our adrenals. So the adrenals sit on top, kidneys, that is where the cortisol is created, okay? And I'm not going to go into the fine details because this, guys, the physiology of that is big, and that is more of a one-on-one conversation about how that applies to your situation. So drop me a thumbs up if you've heard of cortisol in the comments, and I would expect that we all have, okay? Everyone has heard of things like adrenal fatigue, also known as HPA axis, something a little more less known. It's the adrenal fatigue that seems to be the catchword. Not everybody who has high cortisol necessarily has adrenal fatigue or the HPA axis, okay? But drop a thumbs up if you've heard of it, or maybe if you have been diagnosed or you've got your doctor or your naturopath and that resonates with you because you've been there, done that. Say, been there, done that. I get it. All right, and if you're watching on the replay, type replay. So these days it's a hot topic, but our frenzied, hectic, do more, okay, rest less kind of lifestyle, it kind of goes part and parcel with that, but it doesn't have to. And I've worked with so many clients where we flip that mindset with some subtle changes. All right, we're not reinventing the wheel, subtle changes that all of a sudden it's like, okay, we bring those stresses down and the rest is almost like magical. So cortisol is a steroid hormone produced by the adrenal glands. And when you eat too much, and it kind of is tied in too with one other thing, and I'm just going to put a note here, guys, because there's lots, of details here. Before I move on, however, all right, I want to just actually mention at this point something pretty important here. I made a note to make sure I didn't forget, because I've seen this happening a lot, obviously. And in my research and in some of the more advanced hormone exercise trainings that I've been taking, this is quite important to be aware of as well. Just so you know, you're not doing anything wrong. There's some real things happening in your body behind the scenes. So raise your hand or say yes if you believe that the events of 2020, and again, we're not going to say the word so that I don't get the badge on my live video. But obviously, guys, you know what I'm talking about. 2020 was a stressful year for, I would say, almost every person. Stressful in different ways, okay? It affected everybody. And if there's one thing 2020 and even into 2021 did, and may still very well be doing, it is elevate most people's cortisol levels. So not surprising that if you've all noticed a definite increase in that abdominal measurement, okay? The measuring tape is growing around your waist, okay? And whether, even though you can't pinch it, it's pushing out, okay? Because that's that visceral fat. If you can relate, Sherry says 100%. Yeah, Val, 100%. Perfect, ladies. Exactly. Not surprising you're seeing that definite increase, okay? Since 2019. And now here is what I would like to call another truth bomb, okay? And this is something that I think it's very, very important for women to understand, to alleviate any of that self-guilt. Let's drop the guilt. You're not doing anything wrong. It is that it is proven scientifically, we've studied it, researched it, in women especially approaching perimenopause and the menopause years, significant loss of a family member. Sorry, I lost my mom in January. Loss of a family member, upheaval, whether it's huge in career, loss or change of a job, change of location, what happened in 2020, okay, any sort of a breakup, any sort of major life change, trauma, stress can exacerbate the already changing and out of balance hormones, signs and symptoms that we might be experiencing. So if you really think about it. If you're experiencing it, think, did I really notice a spike? Did things really become apparent to me over the last year? If you do, send me a thumbs up, say yes, I relate, because it's not a coincidence. Okay, guys, so that's important to know. And it goes to why it is so critical, not just to reduce the visceral body fat, okay, the belly fat, but reduce those all over stress levels. And has anyone heard of allostatic stress? Allostatic stress is stress from all sources, good stress and bad stress, okay? Environmental, work, relationship, situational, exercise, whatever it is. Stress is stress, whether it's good or bad. So too much of a good thing can tip the scale in either direction. So a major symptom, can anyone tell me what is one of the major symptoms, keeping it relative to our conversation on belly fat, of increased cortisol hormone in the body? Anyone? Val, Sherry. I think there's just, pardon my nose here again, ladies, just putting my notes up here. Okay, I'll just tell you because I know you know. The answer is obviously weight gain, particularly around the abdomen, okay? And there's many other symptoms many women may experience, maybe not, in peri/menopause as well, okay? Yes, stress for sure. So there are symptoms of not enough cortisol as well, okay? There are, and I want to be clear on that, but for the purposes of this video series, we are talking about excess cortisol, okay? And again, if you and I were to have a one-on-one call, we would go through some self-assessment tools and markers to find out where you are sitting based on your own experience, because one size does not fit all. So the blunt truth is that until we, and you may want to remember this, until we create the conditions where we can reduce stress and reduce cortisol, we continue fighting an uphill battle with our belly fat. All right? Until we create conditions where we can reduce stress and reduce cortisol, we continue fighting an uphill battle with our belly fat. Okay, and that is where coaches like myself and other hormone-based coaches really try to change the mindset of that analogy I shared in the beginning. All right, so if you're just stopping in or watching on the replay, hit replay. I shared that analogy in the beginning about cutting the end of the turkey off. All right, so ladies, this is another important truth bomb. You cannot out cardio cortisol. You cannot. And you cannot undereat yourself out of higher cortisol levels. Stress from all sources, even if it is exercise, is still stress. And in Kathy's case, it was just too much of a good thing, creating more stress and further elevating cortisol. How much rest was Kathy giving herself, right? So let's look at some cortisol contributors. Any ideas? So as I'm about to share that with you, any ideas on some contributors to cortisol? If you do want to throw out some answers, feel free. So not eating regular meals is definitely one. Hands up, thumbs up, high five, you know who you are. If you skip meals, okay? I get it, life is busy. There's also an outcome to that, okay? Who skips meals? Let me know. Over exercise. Maybe you don't even know you're over exercising. That's where I come in. But too much of a good thing. Both being too long, okay? Too much intensity, not enough rest. This actually is perfect. Where you have people approaching midlife or in midlife at this point in time where the journey does change, okay? Whether you feel anything or not, it is going to happen. We all go through perimenopause, menopause, whether we know it or not. Too much high intensity interval training, day and day and day out. At first, you might be like, woohoo, this is great, I feel great. Over time, watch what happens. And that's a scenario many women find themselves in. So yes, so we've got all these hormone changes amplifying. This is important. The changes, what you're doing now as you get closer in your midlife, late 30s, 40s, what you are doing begins to amplify the mistakes. It's like having, a magnifying glass and it's going, oh, that never used to be something you noticed before, but now you're going to, okay? It's like little thing going, knock, knock, okay? So amplifying the mistakes that you might be unintentionally making, guys. Remember that analogy, okay? Making the fat storage increase, the visceral fat is increasing, and your fat burning and weight loss comes to a halt. Full stop. Capital S, T, OP. So you want to understand how too much, all right, can also be sabotaging your results. I'm almost about ready to wrap up here, guys, but I want to leave you with 3 important points because on Thursday, tomorrow at 8:15 p.m., I'm going to come at you with part 3. And that's going to be where I provide you with the what then, okay? So what should I do? I'm going to talk about the 3 major areas that in the research, in the evidence-based studies, are really going to help. But first, 3 things, and feel free to write these down, guys, and take them away, take notes. Again, if you're watching this on a replay after I'm done live, please write replay. If you're joining me here now, I see we've got a few people live. Guys, just let me know. Say, hey, hello, hi, Julie. How am I doing, guys? I don't think I have said okay once. Has anyone been counting how many times I've said okay or so? I made myself a promise I would do it less than 10 times, and I think I'm at 2. Has anyone been counting? If you saw my Instagram post the other day. All right, so I won't leave you in suspense. Here are the 3 takeaways from today that are so important. Number 1, and this is underlined and red bolded. Belly fat is most often related to stress-driven cortisol from, among other things, over-dieting, over-exercising, wrong intensity, wrong duration, wrong timing, incorrect exercise for you. What works for Kathy will not work for you. What works for your neighbor may not work for you. Irregular meals or sleep. These are all fixable with well thought out changes for you. Number 2, more exercise is not the answer. Stay tuned tomorrow night at 8:15 p.m. for part 3 that I'll tell you what the answer is. And number 3, eating less is not the answer. Okay? So stay tuned again. I'll tell you tomorrow night what is the answer. I hope that was really helpful, guys. Thank you so much, Sherry and Val, and everyone else who was here. I'll have to scroll back and see. Janine, thank you for coming too. I know there were a few other ladies that came in. I told you there was a lot of info today, and I went a little longer, so I will kind of wrap up there. I just do want to say that it's been my pleasure to share this information with you. It is a complex topic, but I'm hoping that I've been able to break it down into some digestible, pun intended, pieces that you can take away over the next 24 hours and think about. And again, every situation is unique, okay? So if you found yourself spending lots of money on diets and plans that were one size fits all generic and didn't work, now you kind of know why, but I'm going to dive much deeper into that tomorrow, okay? So 8:15 p.m., once the house hopefully is quieter, spend some you time, join me. And guys, please feel free to share the videos if you think other women in your networks, in your tribe, your family would find this information helpful. Please share. Perhaps by sharing it, you might be doing someone the greatest service by giving them the right message at the right time. That's a hint about tomorrow. Right time, right place, right exercise, right food that they need to hear from a loving, loving place. So if you took some stuff out of that, guys, please give me a thumbs up. Please say great info, or I want number 3. And before I leave, I will hang out here for a couple seconds to see if any of you have any last minute comments or questions or aha moments. Please, as you watch this, if you're going to watch it again, go through, share your ideas, share your thoughts, share your comments, share your feedback. I would really, really, really appreciate that. And I hope this has helped you. If it does, please write helpful in the comments below. Okay, helpful in the comments below, or replay, or a hi. And stay tuned for my final video, guys, tomorrow at 8:15 p.m. You are welcome, Sherry. Thank you so much for being here, my dear. Sherry is one of my clients, and in less than 4 weeks, I'm going to brag about you, Sherry. She's going through my total coaching program, which is specific for women in midlife, and Sherry has already lost, what is it, girl? 3.5 inches, and lots of that from the waist in less than 3 weeks by eating more and doing less. So guys, tomorrow, I hope to see you then. Very excited to share, and thank you for your support. Have a wonderful day to you. You're welcome. I'm glad it was helpful, Val. Have a wonderful day, guys.